Well, hello there. Stephen McCormick here, taking the helm once again on another episode of SuperOps, the podcast for IT consultants. Now, this season, we're focusing on speaking to IT solution providers and managed service providers just like you to understand what makes them tick. Specifically, we're speaking to MSP companies that won awards in the recent MSP Awards by SuperOps. Today, I'm joined by Jack Peplow of Veterinary IT Services, who won the MSP Website of the Year award at the MSP Awards. Jack is a veterinary IT expert and certified ethical hacker who has worked alongside the veterinary sector since he set up his first business aged 16. He has made it his mission to help veterinary practices across the UK utilise their technology so that they can function in a secure, professional and efficient manner, leaving vets to focus on patient care. Jack, welcome to Tub Talk.
Thanks for having me on.
Brilliant. So before we dive in, could you help us to understand a little bit more about your company and which part of the world you operate in and how many people work as part of your team?
Of course. I mean, you pretty much nailed the description. Company is Veterinary IT Services. So we specialise on working with veterinary practices from small independents all the way to corporate size organizations. So, you could have a single site, maybe with, 2 or 3 consult rooms, maybe say 5 to 10 people, all the way up to sort of working with the corporates like people like Pets at Home, working with them on consultancy-based products or projects, And we've been working now with vets, like you say, for about 18 plus years now, actually. It's a long, long time. We actually decided to niche and focus on the veterinary sector probably about 3 or 4 years ago. So it's just pre-COVID. It seems like an age away now. But yeah, just pre-COVID, we decided to do something radical and decided to sort of focus on the veterinary sector, purely because it was sort of generally a untapped market. One of the big things that I noticed was I wanted to make a difference. And I feel that as MSPs, we've almost become, and it's a bit of an outrageous statement, but we've almost become a bit of a commodity. So we're almost seen as like the IT cleaners, and we're almost being partly disregarded, devalued, and it's partly our doing as well. So one of the things I wanted to do was I realized if I wanted to make a difference, I have to understand the business that I work with, and it's almost impossible to understand every single industry. So look back at my customer base, worked out who the people that I really, really enjoyed working with, because hey, you've got to love what you do. And I realized actually one of my first clients was a mixed vet practice, a multi-site mixed vet practice. So they deal with small animal, large animal, equine, all that sort of stuff. Really lovely people, terrible relationship with their technology. So I saw it as a bit of an opportunity, and we realized we had quite a number of different other vets. So decided to focus on that and sort of have exploded in the process, which is great. Sort of at the moment, this current business, we've got about 25 staff, ranging from, focusing on service delivery, so support side of things, all the way to admin and sort of sales and marketing. So that's a kind of a quick whip round of who we are and what we're about.
Right. So you work with both small and larger size veterinary practices then. So do you work up and down the country? Do you have multiple
ironically, partly worldwide? Yeah, no. So we work within one central location. The benefit of being in the technology world is that you don't actually have to work right next to your clients. If you set up a well-engineered system, and that's something which we really focused on, is we're all about trying to standardize, right? So we all want to try and work from the same equipment and have our set line brands because, hey, it makes our life easier. We've kind of gone one step further and we've gone, well, if we niche, we can learn one way of working, as in how does a vet practice work? So it makes our life easier because we can understand the technologies that they work with. So, we're specialists. We understand what PACS, PMS, all these stupid acronyms mean. Not stupid for veterinary, but just in the sense of acronyms being stupid. So we've got to really understand how these people work. And what they really value is it's not necessarily having someone just around the corner. They just want someone that actually understands how they work and how they operate. And so that's where we've kind of gone, okay, well, actually, we can be based in Cirencester. And, we've got clients in Ireland, Northern Ireland, Norway, and across the UK currently. And one thing that we're looking at within the next, I'd say, 24 months is sort of breaking into the US market. So we already do consultancy work. So mainly around, we'll have, say, a veterinary practice in the States come to us because, they've got a good IT company. There's nothing wrong with their IT company, but they want to know how they should move forward with their technology. And because we have a better understanding of the surrounding ecosystem, their stack, we can make the recommendations. They pay us for the recommendations, and then their IT company would implement it.
Brilliant. So I know that you're a bit of a tech you're a tech entrepreneur. So
Yes.
what led you from kind of starting out to actually working in the managed service provider industry? What kind of gave you that kind of kickstart?
Honestly, I think I landed in it. So it was through frustration at school. I was sort of a very average grade student. Nothing wrong with that. Always got my C's. Was very reliable with my C's, which was great. But I wanted to sort of do better than that. I'm not saying anything's wrong with the C, but I really wanted to excel. I always loved to push myself and try new things. And I suppose in the school I was at, it was a good school, very good school. But because I wasn't sort of aligned to the ways in which they wanted to work, wasn't genuinely accepted. So, I sort of looked at alternate avenues. And actually, it was by accident, really. I remember I had to take my mum to the bank because they wouldn't open up a bank account for a 16-year-old, which was really interesting. So it was kind of, I think it was a young enterprise scheme was where it sort of initially started. And I sort of got very fed up because you had young enterprises basically encouraging people into business. It's a really good scheme. But I got very frustrated because you had a lot of chiefs and not enough Indians, so no one getting the work done. So I kind of stepped out and went, right, I tell you what, I'll do a challenge. I'll go and try and make money, and you guys try and make money, and whoever wins gets the profits, or it ultimately goes to charity. But that was the driver. And I sort of thought, well, what can I do? And I'd always dabbled with computers, always had an interest in them because technology. Am I a geek? Yeah, I probably should say I am. I just love the power of technology. I love what you can achieve with it because it's an enabler if you utilize it properly. So kind of dabbled into computers, started building computers, and that's how I started. And really it was kind of people could see the enthusiasm, because ultimately that's still today is what makes the sale, is the enthusiasm about people's business. And because I was really, really hungry to sort of learn, did very well. We ended up winning that competition, which was great. And that was the start. And in the process, because I had to buy parts at the time with working with Ingram Micro, it had to be a limited company, so registered the company. So I kind of fell in the managed service space. And I think at the time, still is the case now, but, there are a lot of service providers out there that don't necessarily deliver a great level of service to their clients. I'm not saying everyone, there are some really good MSPs out there, but there are some not so good ones. And I could see this particular person was being taken advantage of. And he sort of invited me and sort of said, look, could you give me your opinion and tell me what you think I should do? And I mean, at the time, I didn't even know what bloody server was. Excuse the language, but it was all sort of new stuff. But he understood that. I set his expectations, said, look, I'm learning. I understand the desktop. I understand the concept. If you can work with me, and he said, look, I'll tell you what, I'll give you £200 a month and you maintain my infrastructure. And this was a multinational company with about, I think it was 120 endpoints, leaving it to a spotty 17-year-old, which was great. But that's kind of got me aware. And so I sort of realized, actually, there's a lot more to just fixing computers. There's a lot more that you can do. And so that's kind of how I stumbled in the space, really. I saw there was a bit of an opportunity. I appreciate, every man and their dog is an MSP now or an IT provider. But, I thought I can do something different. And that's sort of what I'm really sort of thriving on at the moment.
It sounds like it was a very organic thing that just kind of happened, which I think is great because, sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time. You've got the right frame of mind, and it's great, isn't it? So brilliant. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to talk now more about the awards. So you must be very pleased to win the best website award. The best website of the year award at the MSP Awards for SuperOps. Could you describe what you think it was about it that and why your business won?
Of course. I think, hey, look, it was a bright, shiny thing, bright colours. I mean, it's always going to attract the judge's attention. Yeah. No, seriously. We focused a lot on our website. We wanted to deliver something that really stood out. And, we already have a unique selling point in the sense that we're the only only provider in the UK to be able to provide services dedicated to vets. So that already makes us stand out. And of course, we are in a fairly small marketplace. There aren't a huge number of veterinary practices. So we need stuff that's really going to stand out. And that's why we've got our bright colours, very obvious branding. I mean, you can't really not know what we do. Veterinary IT Services, I think, summarises that quite well. And we wanted a website that was also going to sort of stand out and express the key information that a vet practice would need to know. Because again, you go on most MSP's website and you're trying to cater to everyone. Okay. And that's impossible. It's like, to one company, efficiency is going to be very key. For other companies, it might be a particular way of working that's quite key. And, downtime not being, is an absolute no-no. And there are certain things that they look for. Some are going to be more focused on encryption and compliance, while others are going to be focused on, again, how can I make my business more efficient? And so we thought, well, actually, if we focus on the website, focus on all the things that actually matter to veterinary practice, so it stands out, make it very visual, make it all about people, because veterinary people are veterinary professionals are very people focused. They're lovely, lovely people to work with. And so we thought, well, let's get the face on there. Let's try and build a bit of a relationship. And so for us, building testimonials and stating the things that really matter to them, as well as obviously creating educational content. You've got very highly educated people, veterinary professionals. They study for a very long time. I think, if I'm correct, longer than doctors, which is insane how long they're in study for. And so you want to try to create content that actually appeals to them so they can learn things. And that's kind of what we tried to do with our website. So we wanted to create something that was usable, easy to understand, have all the key factors that matter to veterinary practice. And so I think kind of that's one of the reasons, because, we are so focused. And, realistically, I think it's quite common with MSPs. We don't always have the best website. And I love branding. Okay. I'm not saying I do it perfectly, but I absolutely love branding. And so this was kind of a bit of an excuse. I actually designed the website myself, obviously with expertise. I delegated quite a few tasks to people that are much, much better than me, but I did have a very key influence in what I was wanting to try to achieve with the website. And yeah, I'm really pleased and, very, very proud that we won the award. It was a bit of a surprise, if I'm honest. I know there are a lot of not great websites out there, but I'm sure there are some really, really good websites out there too. So yeah, very privileged.
I mean, it is very striking. I have actually been on it myself, and it does tell you exactly what you need to know. So with all those things that are good, what do you think are the common mistakes that people make with their MSP websites? What do you think goes wrong with them?
I think the common things is, you've got to go to people that actually understand and can help guide you. I have people within my circle who are absolutely fantastic. I couldn't cope without them. Paul Green being one person. He's someone that works directly with us, and he's superb, very, very helpful with us, and helped me directed me within the world of niching, or as he calls it, niching now, which really irritates me. But no, I think the common things are stock photography, and not utilizing your people. And I understand when you're first starting up an MSP, it's really, really difficult, but you can still get a professional photos. I mean, if you look at my website, it's of fluffy animals, which is great, and of me, because obviously I'm the front person of this particular organization. We decided to take the Branson-esque approach, I suppose, and it's worked quite well, because again, for vets, it's all about relationships. I think the other thing is that, people don't really understand our world. So, if you go and say you're a managed service provider, they almost look at you going, sort of, what's that? And they use the thing that really frustrates me and go, oh, so you're IT support. Once you explain it to them, you're like, oh God. Yes, if that makes you happy, then I'm IT support. But most of the time you go onto these websites and you're expressing your services, but a lot of these things don't mean much to people. I mean, you go and say to someone, hey, we do disaster recovery things. They go, great. So you save us from earthquakes? Like, well, what is it you do? So people almost get confused, because it's quite a daunting thing. Most of us tech experts, if you want to call us that, we understand this. We love what we do. But for other people, technology in a way, especially, they generally, they come from having bad experiences in a lot of cases, are scared by what technology is. They find it overwhelming. And so, of course, if you start using these acronyms or words that people don't understand, it confuses them. And I think that's kind of a common mistake. So stock photography, not clearly expressing what it is that you do, or trying to be overly complicated. And generally they look really dated, these websites. Yeah. Considering how many great people are out there to try and help guide you, it's amazing how many people really completely discard their website. And I'm not saying my website is the be all or end all, because actually it has a low amount of traffic, but that's because of the industry I'm in. But what matters is when someone goes onto it, I want it to be very clear as to what we do. I want to have very clear references to how we stand out, what makes us different. So do we speak their language? It's not about me, it's about them. And that's the other thing we as MSPs make a mistake on. It's all about us. And it's like, well, what about your client? Like, should you want to talk about your client? You've got to win them over first. Like, don't try and sell yourself in that sense. You sell yourself by sharing information. And I got very, very heavily influenced by a guy called Marcus Sheridan, who wrote the book, They Ask You Answer. Absolutely incredible book. Recommend anyone to read it. Really transformed my understanding of the importance of marketing, because before it was kind of, I felt like I was just spending money for money's sake and not really getting much back from it. And then sort of Marcus had this, actually got to interview him on my podcast, which was really, really good. A real surprise, actually, because got this incredible keynote speaker. And, he wanted to come on my lonely little veterinary podcast, but it was great. Really nice guy to talk to. And his concept was all about educating the client. It's not selling, it's about sharing information, because what will happen is when it's all about building trust. And that's what us as MSPs are really bad at. We're always hard sell. When we manage your IT, it's almost like we've got nothing else to show. And actually, there's so much more we can do as a profession. But yeah, that was one of the key drivers for our website was, what can we do? Because obviously, especially within the veterinary world, it's all about CPD, which is continuous professional development. And it's always about that continuous learning. So yeah, I think that's kind of another thing. I mean, there's tons that we as MSPs make mistakes on websites, and, even social proof, it's often missed. You obviously clearly do a good job for your clients. Why not let them shout about what you do?
Testimonials
you don't need tons.
Always missed out. They're always left off, and it's such an obvious thing. It's like somebody else is basically telling you how good you are on your on your storefront.
And
that's it. Really, it's brilliant.
Yeah, and it's almost like it's like we're obsessed with putting service metrics up. And it's like, do people really care? I mean, if you get to the point that your client actually cares about how quickly you're going to respond to them, you're doing something wrong, in my personal opinion. It's like you've got to be shouting about other things. I mean, obviously feedback being key, but there are other things that you can shout about. So I could talk for hours about this particular area.
I mean, yeah, I think you've hit at least two key points there. One of them being make sure you've got testimonials there, and the second one is, you as the MSP owner, you've got to be front and center. You've got to be there saying, I am the expert that's going to help you to make more money or to get more customers or to deliver better services. You have to be Richard Branson, like you said, you kind of have to. And I think that's perfect. Brilliant. Okay. I'm going to ask you now about, so where did you hear about the MSP Awards by SuperOps, and how did you find the entry process, Jack?
So, I mean, I'll start with the latter. The entry process was seamless. Very, very easy. Just asked a couple of questions, and it's almost like I wanted to share more than what I was allowed. So it was almost too easy, which was great. Not the winning the award, just the actual process. It was really, really super easy. So, if ever you get an opportunity, especially with this SuperOps award, just take advantage of it, because actually it is really, really easy. The challenge is trying to express, why you should win the award, because you've got very limited space. How did I enter it, or how did I find out about it? I think, to be fair, I mean, I was aware of SuperOps as a platform. So, we're always continuously on the review of our stack, not spending too much time on it because I'll get told off for that. My team will kill me. But, we're always trying to be aware of what kind of platforms are out there. And SuperOps had a very, very kind of interesting approach, really, really interesting platform. We're not quite there to move over to them, but, always going to keep a close eye, because they're very forward thinking and very, very hungry, it seems. So I think it was possibly a LinkedIn post either from one of the people that I follow, or I can't remember exactly where it came from, but it was through one of the social media channels. And I thought, you know what? Why not? And I had a look into it, and I think it's kind of, before I went to bed one night, I thought, I'll just give this a quick crack. And it was literally a couple of paragraphs of what it is, why you think you should enter the award or win the award. And I thought, well, what have I got to lose?
Absolutely. I mean, if you don't try, you're never going to win, are you? Exactly. So, brilliant. What does winning an award like this then mean to your business? I mean, is this going to be something else that is going to kind of open doors, or are you going to be able to kind of make new
I don't know. It's a difficult one. I think being very transparent and honest, I don't think it's going to open any doors. No. If anything, you might have people that will come to you looking for some advice and just some guidance, not saying I'm an expert, might go, well, how did you do this, or how did you do that, which is absolutely fine. Because, I mean, for us, if we won something specific to our industry, then yeah, great. As in, veterinary space, it might mean something more. I think I'm very proud. I think it's great to win an award, to be acknowledged is a massive thing. And it's also great for my team. So the people that were actually involved with building the website, it's a real boost for them, because I think, great. I mean, obviously we don't build websites. We probably should, I suppose. But no, I mean, if we built websites, that'd be a massive thing to really shout about, because obviously, you know, that you've got someone that is independently reviewed and acknowledged that you've got a good website. But right now, I mean, I can't see any immediate things. I don't think, but I could be being very, very.
I think that's fair. You know, yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Again, if you were building websites all the time, I think that's a definite thing to be shouting about. But it's still nice to be recognized for what you do have.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
Yeah. 100%.
Okay. I'm going to change tack a bit here now then. So back to you personally. I'm intrigued. What have you found the most challenging thing about running an IT business?
Staff.
It's a big one, so, yeah.
Honestly, I think it's people. Staffing is a challenge for every industry, even the veterinary industry. I mean, to be honest, they've got a harder job than us because they need to find people that are qualified, and obviously they have to go through, you know, the educational system, and it's a long process. While for us, IT people, anyone can pick it up and in theory do it within reason. Obviously, got to have the right mindset, but we've got no accreditations as such to sort of follow. But finding people that sort of understand, especially, you know, as a growing MSP, you know, you want to be flexible, you want to provide flexibility, of course you do, but it's finding people with the right mindset to be able to sort of get behind and support you with your direction and what you're trying to achieve, and finding people that have that hunger, and that are going to be behind you no matter what, because, you know, like I say, as a dynamic MSP, you do face more challenges, and especially in the world of MSP, you know, because when you're sort of a sysadmin, you're obviously working within one environment, and to be honest, a lot of the time, this is probably really unfair, but a lot of the time you're sort of sitting on your hands, twiddling your thumbs. Obviously, you'll find other things to do, but, you know, you've got a single system to maintain, a single environment, and you've got set variables which are controlled, and you're ultimately responsible for that. While with an MSP, you're dealing with lots of, you know, especially with the generic MSP, you're dealing with lots of different industries, with lots of different technologies, with lots of different software, and you have no idea what could be coming through. You know, it could be something really basic, it could be something really complicated, and so you never know what tomorrow might bring. You can predict, you can preempt. You know, we really heavily utilize automation. I mean, this project, I'm currently on site working on a project. I never get involved with projects, by the way, but this particular one, we're rolling out this sort of state-of-the-art platform, which is quite exciting. We've got a client that actually said, you know, we're willing to be a guinea pig to trial this, all sensor-based BLE stuff, which is really quite cool. And so I'm personally overseeing this one, but you know, it's just, I think staffing has always been the challenge, and I don't think it will ever go away. I really don't. But yeah, and how we're going to fix it, I don't know, because of course you try to create an environment which is very opening, very welcome, very supportive, and, you know, you try to promote self-development, you know, so we cover off all training and exams for our guys. You know, we do everything we can. We have like regular socials, and like our last event was a VR event, which was really good fun. Highly recommend that. But yeah, I think it is our biggest problem. I think it's every MSP's biggest problem. If you haven't got it, then please come and find me and tell me what you're doing.
Absolutely. Okay. On the flip side of that, then, what's your favourite thing about running your IT business?
I think again, it's people. So it's working with people. Yeah. I mean, like, I get such a buzz when you see the difference you can make. I mean, like I said at the start, you know, technology is an enabler if you show people how to get best use of it and really sit down with them. And like I say, my particular role is more focused on strategy. So I work with clients to talk about the future and where they're going, and get to work on some really cool projects. But actually seeing and sitting down with someone and talking about where they want to go, what they'd like to achieve, not just on the technology level, you know, it's like, what are the aspirations of the business? Where are they looking to go? What are they looking to achieve? What are the current challenges they might face? And then when you actually nail these, seeing the kind of how they behave and how they respond and how happy they are and how much of a difference you make for them, and the bond you bring and build. You know, I mean, I've got clients back from when I first set up my original business that continued and followed me all through the journey of growing, setting up these different organizations, which is amazing. And I think that's the buzz I get. You know, it's the difference that you can make in seeing it. And, you know, both internally for your team as well, not just, you know, external clients. It's also seeing the difference of someone developing within your organization, the appreciation you get back. I think that's the big kickback I get, I think.
Brilliant. Okay, then. So what do you see the next few years holding for the MSP industry in in general. Do you think it's going to be tough, or do you think there's still kind of areas for kind of big developments there?
I think we've got to be aware that we've got to not be a commodity. Okay, so we're driving prices down. We are becoming cleaners, which is not good. And it is going to get to the point where the robots are coming. Going over the top there, but when you see things like even just the evolution of ChatGPT, quite incredible. You can just literally ask a question, it will go and develop a PowerShell script. It may not be perfect, but it's pretty bang on, and it saves you a huge amount of time. This is going to be replacing, I think, if you could integrate that within, say, for example, your RMM solutions or any of the technologies that we utilize, obviously in a secure manner. I think you've got something that could almost replace definitely a level 1 tech, and obviously depending on what you do could go further. And you've got to then understand that the technologies that we work with, I mean, we work with the Microsoft 365 stack, and how simple it's becoming. It's becoming user intuitive. I'm not saying a user could just necessarily take it off the shelf and build it correctly, but if you just use Microsoft 365 and you literally purely use it for email and SharePoint, you're going to have a problem. You need to be utilizing the tools, and that's where we've repositioned ourselves, from a niching point of view, but also from a strategic point of view. We don't really sell our support services. Yes, okay, that's how people identify us, but actually it's more about that ongoing relationship and how we can build stuff and develop them. We call it technology alignment, because typical thing you see with the business is you've got them going or trying to go that way. You've got the technology going completely the opposite direction, almost pulling them apart. And so it's working with them to get more from their business. And I think that's kind of, in my opinion, the future of the MSP. You've got the MSSP role, but I probably be shot down for this, but I don't believe that you can be an MSP and an MSSP. They're two different types of people that you're going to be employing. I mean, I'm a certified ethical hacker. I've always dabbled with it. I've always had an interest in it, but I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a tech support person. It's just something I've landed in, essentially, and I've got good people around me that actually make that happen. But they work very differently to how I would work as such. I'm a problem solver, solution person with regards to sort of that side, more strategic, their sort of troubleshooting side of things. And I think they're two very different types of people. So I don't necessarily think that. I mean, obviously, cybersecurity is key and it's becoming more prominent now, but I don't think. I think we just got to be aware. I think more than anything, I think there is a future for MSPs, but I think we're going to change. We've just got to stop being a commodity and stop trying to drive prices down and actually show people the value that we can bring, because I think that's something that we massively shoot ourselves in the foot over. We are very, very good and very intelligent people and very capable people, and I don't think we do ourselves favour with what we do.
I think you are right there. Again, it's AI and machine learning is getting more and more sophisticated, but the fact that the tools are getting more complex means that people aren't necessarily using them to their full potential without the expert in the room to actually help them utilize it. So I think you're absolutely right there. That is where MSPs can kind of really come into their own and actually bridge that gap. I think that's a perfect answer. Right then. How then, after we've just described that, do you see your business developing over the next 18 months? Now, I know you talked about kind of maybe branching out into the States. Where do you see yourself in let's say 18 months time?
I'd like to be in a position where we've actually got a base of operation in the States. How that's going to happen, I'm not quite sure yet, because I don't think I necessarily want to go out there and live out there. Like I say, I'm the front man. I do a lot of speaking gigs, so go to most of the events, get invited to speak, which is fantastic. So I think actually we're going to New York Vet Show, so I've been invited to speak out there, and that's obviously just going to start the feelers. I heard the other day that people were talking about me at VMX, which is a big veterinary event, which was very, very exciting. We've got some really cool things happening at London Vet Show this year, where I think we're being dedicated to technology theatre, which we're going to run, which is amazing. So lots of exciting things. So I think it's to continue to dominate our marketplace. And I don't mean that lightly. We generally want to dominate our market space because I feel that we do a really good job and we have a very good understanding of our clientele. And then, like I say, branch out into the US. And I think in time, whether it's going to be 18 months or not, I'm not sure. But we'd like to then start considering, and I don't think I'll be the front man for this, because obviously I think, I want to continue working on this area. I love my space. I love the veterinary space.
Yeah.
But, we look to start breaking into another market. So, maybe go into charity. So charity IT services or recruitment IT services, maybe. Which we have actually got registered and ready to go. But yeah, I just need to find the right person that's going to help me lead that and literally replicate the model that we've had within the veterinary space, I think.
Fantastic. So with that in mind then, can you see any obstacles perhaps that you need to overcome before you can get to that? I mean, you were just there talking about branching out into the charities sector. I mean, you could also consider care. I mean, these are huge areas that I think would benefit from the type of services that you provide on your website. So I think that's possibly. So what kind of obstacles then do you have to kind of get out of the way?
There's several. So, I mean, if we look at the different initiatives, breaking into another sector, I don't think there's going to be a challenge in doing that other than finding the right frontman. They've got to be someone who's passionate, and they're probably going to have to be invested in the business, I expect. And they've got to have confidence, and you may not necessarily have confidence from the start. I mean, I definitely did not. I've never, so up until I think it was September 21, I'd never spoken in front of people. And I got landed at a gig, which was really exciting. About 250 people I had to speak in front of. And I got such a buzz from it and realized how much of a difference I could make. We had no one come to our stand. And then by the end of the talk, we were literally being flooded. It was insane. And about technology as well. Vets don't like technology. So I think finding someone who can be passionate about the technology and have the confidence to be able to speak, because I think speaking gigs for us is a big thing. And I need that person that's going to really care as well, and that's really important. That's where I say that I think they might have to be invested in the initiative to make it happen, because I want them to feel like it's theirs as well. So I think that's kind of one aspect on that initiative. With regards to branching into the States, it's going to be people. How do I actually even start? I've got some ideas. I can get boots on the ground as such, but how much of a presence do I want there? Bearing in mind that we're a light touch organization in the sense of, regarding rolling out technology. I mean, all that we use is, stuff like ABD and, stuff that's very lightweight actually within practice, but which makes it really easy to deploy. So we could actually just hire people to go and be the boots on the ground, which is fine. But it's like, how much do we want to be there? What about the BDM side of things? So actually the development side, working with clients, like how much of the relationship, the States is massive. It's huge in comparison to the UK. So kind of that's another thing. So I think kind of they're the two challenges. I mean, us growing as a business, again, it's finding the right people in general. We're all struggling at the moment. Like I say, I've not come across an MSP that's gone, we're nailing it. It's absolutely fantastic, And like I say, if someone hears this and they are nailing it, please reach out to me. I will pay you some money to tell me what we need to be doing if you're nailing it. I think that's going to be our biggest challenge in general with the growth of the business.
Great. I will speak at the end to kind of ask you if there are ways that people can kind of reach out and get in touch. But before we get there, I want to ask you now, who influences you? Do you have any mentors or authors or speakers that have made an impact on your life? Or if not anybody like that, is there anybody in your personal life that you look up to that has kind of pushed you to this point where you're now an award-winning MSP?
I think kind of when I was younger, I was sort of heavily influenced by the big names, and I think I've always had an interest in Branson, not obsessive, just found him very intriguing, and to be honest, any entrepreneur, and they don't even need to be particularly like well known. If they've done well, I'm always intrigued, and there's lots of books that I read, that have good suggestions. From Marcus Sheridan's, I think he's been an influencer to a point. Whether he knows it or not, probably not, or definitely not. But no, I mean, his concept with marketing definitely opened my eyes with marketing and the benefits it can bring. I think Paul Green has been sort of pretty fundamental to us in the sense that he was some triggers for certain things.
Yeah.
Was a great help for us. And yeah, I think kind of, like I say, just reading lots of different books, whether it's Drive, whether it's Never Split the Difference, those kind of books that are just have got interesting takes. And at the end of the day, no one is going to directly influence and make me go a certain way. I'm just not that mindset. But I can definitely look at things and I might be able to go, actually, I really like that concept, or I think that's a really good idea. And I think that can help me massively. So I'm an open individual. And so anyone can influence to a point. It's just trying to have that open mindset to go, okay, cool, that's a really nice idea, and I'd like to give that a try and see if it makes a difference for us.
Brilliant. Okay, so we're getting to the end now. Now we have been connected today through thanks to the wonderful MSP awards hosted by SuperOps. So congratulations again there, Jack. So if you've got one golden piece of advice to give to budding MSPs who may one day win an award like this, what would that be?
Niche.
Keep it niche.
Yeah. Do what you do well and do something that you really care about, because it really genuinely makes a difference. That's the one bit of advice I would give anyone. I think it's something that's massively undervalued and under-realised, and I think there's a huge potential for MSPs to properly, truly niche. And like I say, if you do something you love, you do it really well. So
yeah, and I think you are right there too. I mean, you also have to care, and you have to be really, really passionate. And I think those just you wouldn't be successful without those. So I think that's absolutely perfect. Thank you, Jack. So if anyone wanted to reach out to you today to continue the conversation, how would they best go about finding you online?
Either grab me on LinkedIn. So I think it's just jack.pepler, which is Peploe. No one ever spells it right. or by all means, email me on jack@veterinary.itservices.co.uk, and that's VETERINARY, because people sometimes struggle to spell that. So yeah, just jack@veterinary.itservices.co.uk.
Fantastic. So I will make sure that anything that has been mentioned appears in the show notes. I just want to take this opportunity to thank you again for speaking to me today, Jack. And once again, congratulations on the award.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that concludes this episode. Thank you for listening. I've been Stephen McCormick, and this has been Tub Talk, the podcast for IT consultants. Goodbye for now.
Hey folks, Richard here. Thanks for listening today. I know you've got a ton of options for who you listen to nowadays, so I really appreciate your support. Do you have any feedback on this episode? Ideas for future guests? Tweet me at Tubblog using the hashtag TubTalk. I respond to every tweet and really appreciate your feedback. Hey team, this is Richard again. Just one more thing before you take off, and that is MSP Insights. Now, every Tuesday, I share my thoughts on the business of IT with you, the managed service community. Thousands of managed service providers already subscribe to MSP Insights. It's easy to sign up, easy to cancel. MSP Insights is basically a short email from me every Tuesday without fail, with advice on growing your IT business, plus cool resources I've found, discovered, or started exploring that week. It's kind of like my diary of cool things, and often includes articles or books I've read, tools I've discovered, and events I think you'd be interested in, often sent to me by my friends and Tub Talk podcast guests. So if that sounds fun, a short tiny bite of MSP goodness every Tuesday, and you'd like to try it out, just go to go.tub.co/Tuesday. That's go.tub.co/Tuesday. Drop in your email and you'll get the very next one. Thanks for listening.